How's it going, everybody? We got a fun video for you today. The top 10 power duos and trios in Marvel Strike Force. Trios would have just made the thumbnail look stupid. So duos. But these duos and trios will help you find much more success in various PvP modes. We're going to break them down team by team. And then we're also going to be telling you which game modes they work the best in. Alright, so let's get this party started with the new king. That's right. Knull is coming to the game, everybody. And Knull is going to be bringing some huge symbiote buffs, but not quite enough to make the entire symbiote or hive mind team kind of worthy. But we got some standouts. We got Gore. He does have post-airy stats. He does rip battlefield effects apart. He rips revives off. He has ability blocks. He's a really, really good character. And he's going to be giving Knull that 10% speed stat. Then we got Void Knight. Old stats, but he also has 25% speed bar on spawn. He's also going to be feeding himself, Gore, and Knull 10% speed stat with this. And he's gonna be flipping people's buffs before Knull goes. So if there's defense up and no safeguard or deflex, Knull can start by hitting into defense down, which if you saw the tournament, he kind of needs to. He kind of needs that damage bump. I can see a lot of characters that would go really good with this trio. Shadow King, the first one comes to mind, because Void Knight, Gore, and Knull all open with their ultimate. Since they're going to be super fast, they're going to have 40% speed stat because of the first darkness Knull puts out. You're going to have some Shadow King pings really fast, which is kind of deadly. This would be an everywhere team. You'll probably see it more often in Crucible because you don't really want to break up, say, a Shadow King or whatever else for war. But I can also see these three-piece coming in with other two strong members that you might see later on this list, helping us in such modes as Sword Satellite and Tower. I'm really excited to play with Knull. I know a lot of people were kind of down on his performance in the tournament. I get it. I think he does need like a damage bump, but I still think he's a good character. It's not like they released OG Spider-Man stats kind of thing. So I wouldn't sleep on Knull just yet, guys. The Star Smashers. Yeah, so this is just a two-piece, okay? This is Emma Frost X-Men, the new Astral version of Emma, with either Howard the Duck or Captain Britain. Now, this is going to be a Crucible power couple, okay? This is especially if you don't have the full Starjammers team. If you have the unfortunate future of facing a full Starjammer team, you could use Emma Frost X-Men with Howard the Duck, and that shuts off all of their speed stuff to be worried about. And then the Starjammer team themselves, really slow because only Havoc at 128, Howard's at like 125, Rocket 123, and then the Lander's like 113. So if you take away the speed bar on spawn plus the speed stats Starjammers get, this is going to be a very common counter moving forward to help you deal with Starjammers, especially until Starjammers start getting diamonds. Then it'll get a little bit more dicey. But I really like this, and if you don't want to break up your Starjammers, you can choose to break up your Illuminati, but you do need somebody to stop that enemy Howard the Duck speed bar on spawn. That's going to be super important. This is going to be big in the upcoming season, guys. We are going to have to be dealing with Starjammer enemies on the defensive side. Even though they seem to be better on offense, you should expect to see them on the defensive side. So if you are a big fan of Crucible, this might be your golden ticket. All right, moving on to the Absolute War Fiends. This is going to be a war team, a war power trio. But honestly, this is pretty good in Crucible too if you get the diamonds on Miss Marvel Classic. So we got Kahori, Miss Marvel Classic, and Medusa. Throw in the other two Absolute A-Force members in the garbage. And this three-piece is kind of nuts in war. It's important to note they do lose a lot of that overpowered war stuff. Like without the full team, Kahori's not stopping speed bar. But it doesn't really seem to matter. Instead of relying on that anti-speed bar, you rely on putting a character like Mephisto with these guys, or Super Skrull, or Odin, and they become absolutely nightmarish to fight. I did just post a war video early this morning showcasing a Mephisto, Super Skrull, Absolute War Fiends team, and I got wrecked. I immediately went to my alliance and was like, all right, guys, this is our new mandatory defense for everybody. It does have a particular counter, and even that counter can get really rough once you start getting these girls maxed up from the Battle World store, which is kind of scary. All right, then we got the Frenemies. I love this team. This is a great war team. This is a great Crucible team. This is an amazing Sword Satellite and or Tower team, okay? Scientist Supreme gets 50% speed bar. She puts defense down, offense down, and slow, both on her entire team and the entire enemy team. Blade says, let me snatch that, flip it. He flips the offense down and the slow, and he just goes to town. He goes to work. And he rips you all apart. And so does Oath, and so does Agatha if they're on the same team. And of course, we got Man Thing here because he's giving them that speed stat bump. So you get the speed stat bump, Blade flip slows and speed up and offense up, and boom, 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 boom. Love this team. Couldn't recommend it more. Yeah, just one of my favorite teams to lean into. Old Man Crawler. This one was a little bit tougher to put on the list because although this team is really good, they're starting to fall out of meta use. But you know who else is falling out of meta use? Pandapool and Deadpool and Crucible and the entire X-Men roster in War and Crucible. They're kind of getting used right now in War because of those rules, but at the same time, sort of trash, right? Now, I don't know if the Mercs team is going to be out of the War meta for anytime soon, but these guys are great in our flash modes, again, like Sword Satellite, like Tower modes. But in Crucible, I think you're going to see a resurgence of these guys because we have so many other offensive tools and defensive tools. These guys sliding all over the place could be something we see in the future. Also, Nightcrawler might be messing with this season's Stage 6 rules, so don't sleep on that. And then when Professor X comes, he's going to want to pair up with some X-Men, right? Well, these are the two best X-Men right now. I can see some good things coming from these guys in the future. Then we got the Fire Friends. I don't know. I ran out of fun names for these guys, so to chat. We didn't. What we wanted to name this was something that dealt with the nature of Mephisto's "you can't revive" passive, and also the Phoenix Force is all about reviving. It's all about birth, rebirth, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of an interesting dilemma we found ourselves in there. Anyway, this again would be a Crucible team, not really for War. Sword Satellite and Tower, I actually don't think I would use either. This is just like a deep cut Crucible recommendation 3-piece. Because Starjammers, even with their rework, seem like they are being focused to get countered against Odin Illuminati with room rules. And so you're going to be relying on these guys because they absolutely wreck. And if you don't have to deal with that Odin Illuminati Black Knight team in a room that protects them, or if your Starjammers aren't big enough, this team can go pretty much anywhere and just demolish. Because these guys are a Crucible godsend, and Mephisto is obviously still Mephisto. The only team I would start being worried about is look out for Knulls against Mephisto. That's going to be a rough one. That's going to be very rough. But that's it for the fancy images, guys. Again, this is Crucible, all the other ones, and I'll share these lists with you in a Save Squad format later. These are kind of the runner-ups. So we have Void Knight, Lady Deathstrike, Red Hulk. Notice that Void Knight make 2 appearances here. So if you're not going to be putting Void Knight with a Knull team, he works really good here. This is great in War and in Crucible, especially if you don't have the Gamma team built up and you don't have the Weapon X team built up. So what this does, as long as you go first with Void Knight, you pull everybody in, Red Hulk does a nasty rewind, Lady Deathstrike comes in with another rewind, lots of bleeds, and she obviously does so much damage. You take 2 other big damage dealers in with them, and it's an absolute wrap. If you want to use this team in War, I would suggest bringing in maybe Brawn. That's going to make your Red Hulk go before the Void Knight, which does kind of suck, but you're going to still land a nasty rewind on 3 people, which may allow Void Knight to go first, because, you know, War teams, they have so much preloaded speed, either bar, speed meter, or speed stat at this point. You could also put in Red Goblin and Carnage here as well. That is a speed nightmare. Just make sure, since those are old stat characters, with the exception of Lady Deathstrike, you're not getting, like, Retaliate killed. Now let's return to Old Glory, Doom and Dorb. Yes, if you see a nasty Skrull team that's going to start with offense up, or anybody that's going to ult turn 1, or just do a big AoE damage turn 1, and doesn't stop speed bar, Dorm and Doom is great. You can't rely on Doom to survive on his own merit, so Dorm gives him that revive. Once he comes back, he brings one of your newer, better characters on the ride, and that's why this power couple still needs to be spoken about today. Superior 6 with Vulture. This team is starting to fall off, right? We see it in Crucible. Superior 6 not really getting through the new stats very well anymore. The new room rules are really hurting them. And in War, well, they still take out all kinds of crappy little speed-up teams, which is cool. But for Crucible, I can definitely see us starting to pull these guys apart and sliding in some new characters alongside Goblin. Any Superior 6 member, doesn't have to be Doc Ock, could be Slayer if you need offense up, could be Lizard if there's an enemy Spider member that you want to immediately get get Lizard to go, or even Kraven if you want that safeguard. But probably 2 harder hitting characters to go along with it. Your rewind from Goblin won't be as much, your speed bar from Goblin won't be as much, but this is a hard counter to speed up on spawn teams. We gotta talk about the Annihilators. Okay, because we are starting to earmark Gore for Knull use, and I do think you have to. I don't think Knull is interesting at all without at least some of that speed set he gets from symbiotes, and Gore is kind of the #1 pick. So for your Annihilators, wherever you're going to use them, in Crucible, War, whatever the case may be, I think you start putting Ultimates there and putting 2 better characters along with them. This preserves that Gladiator passive, the no vulnerables, no expose, and you can still craft some interesting teams here without Gore. So I think that's pretty important. Then finally, we got the Lilandra Gladiator Scroll team. This performs the exact same function as the team we just said. Super Scroll will be protected in Crucible from the Cabal team, which is great here. But this team is, I would only do this team if I don't have Starjammers unlocked yet. Like, if you're free to play, you don't have Howard the Duck or Havoc unlocked, this is a great 3-piece for you right here. But as soon as you do, like, this is just not a move in Crucible anymore. Maybe you put Skrull over here with these 3 Annihilators, and you just kind of accept, this is just going to get Immortaled, or this is just going to get Starjammered, or this is just going to get Nulled, whatever the case may be. I would just start accepting that, or post-scroll the offense, we'll find a different use for him. Alright, then we got 3 power couples that used to be the kings. Like, these used to be the best power couples in the game. No conversation to be had. And I haven't used a single one of them in a very, very long time. So they've fallen off. I want to give a little update on that. Red Hulk and Apocalypse. The last time I used them, I used Apocalypse, Red Hulk, Void Knight, and the other symbiotes, and they beat an Annihilator team in War. And that was a week ago, and I just have found better solutions to that problem, right? So, I don't know, it just seems like Apocalypse is kind of earmarked now to go with like Cabal and Kang to take out Astral in War, or he's being used as an anti-safeguard measure against other teams in Crucible, and Red Hulk just doesn't have a room anymore because the old stats got him. The old stats, they simply got him. It's just not a thing anymore. And then we're going to have the Tangled Web duo. Yeah, 2099 and Spider Weaver used to be the bee's knees with that speed up on spawn, getting that Weaver extra speed bar. Used to be great. There's so much anti-speed up on spawn now, though. From Black Cat to now the Starjammers to Vulture and the Superior 6 that we talked about. There's so much to stop that. So 2099, kind of like Red Hulk, he just got crept out kit-wise and stat-wise, even if he gets to ult. The idea that he's going to land his slow on these newer characters, even with Skirmisher, it's not looking promising for him. But Weaver at 127 speed is still not bad. If she has another teammate around her that can kind of protect her until she gets her charges up in Crucible, there's still room for her. I actually almost slipped up against a War team today that had Weaver on it. I didn't. I just outlasted the charges. But I still think that Weaver has room, just not as a power couple. Kind of plug and play. And we'll talk about plug and play characters in a future video. Oof. And then there's the Eternals. People still claim they use Secret Defenders with Eternals against Spider Society. Sure, if you're still seeing that, I guess. I don't see Spider Society teams that, you know, don't counter that at this point with different plug and play characters. Also, if you don't have the Eternals invested in or Secret Defenders invested in yet, do not do that. Do not do that. No matter how many times you lost against Spider Society, just build something else, pull something else off defense. They're done. They're gonzo. It's over. That's it, guys. That is our top 10 power duos or trios for Marvel Strike Force. Currently, we'll see what happens when we get the Vigilante team. I could see the 3 Vigilante. Sorry, I keep getting roasted for how I say it. I could see the 3 Vigilante members that are not named Punisher and Elektra maybe making this list. They lose a lot of synergy, but we'll see what happens with the new stats. We'll have to wait and see. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. But for right now, stay happy, stay healthy, have fun. I'll see you guys next video. Bye. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.